reached a breaking point. Military, police forces, killing punishers with racism, politics, disposability are celebrated as their near goals of exterminating those considered the other. Violence institutions respond to every problem, small and critical and ethical thought. Politics has become nothing more than the extension of never-ending war waged by the punishing violence, say pedagogical space need a fully committed being educational spaces in which students can develop into critical advocates for social change. The role of the judge to vote for the debater who best methodologically fights against the militarized state drove 15. Tension between Democrat the violence of market fundamentalism has reached a breaking point of racism, has become self-aware of the politics supposed to close the endgame of extermination. Those consider the access to totalitarianism and state violence while the critical social responsibility, ethical imagination, politics, and militarization of police to bear punishing state political, ethical ignorance. The Senate of the U.S. created the vote, cards member gained agency and fatalism, ignored the shapes of life, it evolved the intellectual foolishness, critical thinking, developed politics to become an extension war, state sponsored violence to increase the mind legitimation, which promoted the moral panic, undermining essential responsibility of the well-being. The other, there was also serious erosion of discourse, humanity, the justice, equality of the public, valuing common good of the political, undermining education, pedagogy, empowering the acts directed upon the condition, bear down lives in order to change one. Education has to be viewed as crucial to overcoming the current crisis. Education students need to rekindle the role that education should historically been developing critical and civic capacity. There's a need to use the education to mobilize students to be critically engaged citizens instead of addressing issues. The attention to the case of the war against the various space pedagogical practice to make critical thought possible. The faculty should challenge the anti-democratic back to education has become part of the formative culture and it was thought this prevail, providing the foundation of totalitarianism. It's crucial for education to project notes that higher education simply training education need to recognize the power of education and create the formative culture necessary to challenge the West against justice, democracy, and the neoliberal state has become militarized. That state as a weapon of political control, violence, and war viewed as permanent and necessary for politics. The war on terror has come back home against black and impoverished bodies who are disposed of using irrational and amoral systems that seeks to dominate. Drove 15 assault on minorities without privatization to regulation now shape the African institution, public institution, find militarization, citizenship, as now system rights, security, state violence, as a visual response to every stable, every level legitimized war of the permanent and about to get to organized principle of political middle of it, force rushing out of the now imposed the value of militaries and neoliberal society, the government created toward the state and violate civil liberty and above new laws that justify state toward the political landscape of changing no longer stands but detainees distinguishable from the inmates home accountable only by the fact that we have not yet had the misfortune of being incarcerated. The use of the police for drug and erections here, the tolerance here, the increased communications, ring of social behavior of the war terror have become promoted to the poor neighborhood, transformed to the war zone with police troops having the occupying army, the lethal expression of racism have become commonplace in black men, boys are repeatedly killed by state terrorism and evidently going demonization, incarcerated, lack of human, disposable democracy, increasing period of the given weight discourse of defense, domestic security and law, and the state is inevitable refusal to engage in traditional politics seeds the politics of fear to authoritarian elites, box 97, postmodernism, really pushes people inside struggle to the alienation of the false sense, and empowered, discomforted by laws, public and depleted capacity to work, for change out of the ideological quagmire, work to urge upon or destroying the American society will go and solve ecological crisis, infectious out of the fate, other will hang out of the balance barrier, the vagaries of political power continue to the side of the fate, of the side shrinking, the political hardly mirror, the hackers will disappear, the gigantic state structure will lose the power far from the space, abdicated by citizenry can be filled by authoritarian elites, the reassertion of political more virulent guys, and the police state is anti-black, black bodies have been criminalized, which allows them to be systemically harassed, arrested, incarcerated, and killed. Carruthers 15, he called it, and massive criminal states and called the anti-black police state criminal state has to do with who's the art of the PF, who should be part of the law, jobs committed to black people out of the law, outside of the normal harassed, arrested, incarcerated, and killed the black people, or systemically criminal and killed, if enslaved after the American future, imagine future, the grandchildren cannot be enslaved, you can imagine future without mass incarceration, and the anti-black police state, and the black man will know, and the black police state no longer to all people live with dignity, and when the state is the sole arbiter of the law, represses citizens, and allows for the existence of the police state, Leroy Town, police state uses the law to make it control any challenge of the power to say that sole arbiter law and the crucial selectively enforce the law sentence, or if you know it's no longer the act remains conflict of the law abdicated by the state, anybody come to right, or agreement convicted to say that the state will press the century, if there's no justice about the state's seat century, then there's the police state, the judiciary system, nothing but a sham school, state repression against citizen solvency. During nullification of the police state, authoritarianism of criminalization, the affirmative bottom approach that doesn't completely see the political, but also doesn't completely operate on the system, especially key to solve why head 15 when the outcome seems as foregone conclude the government always win and be seen as part of the challenge system. How do you push back by changing rules and engaging some guerrilla tax practice active and take a trick up the government reform by the money to change the local level nullification to be the perfect lookout and the hands during nullification promotes upon the idea that since not the government official have to say whether the person to be part of the joint nullification check on the run with authoritarian criminalization nullification balance scared of the prosecutor the people laws and lynch all reflect the considered sins as opposed to the proper treatment priority of corporate American thousands or serving life standard as a result harsh mandatory sentencing passed on top of part of the a part of the American police state over criminalization and surveillance but the military police state prepared the money to travel to the police state there's lost a lot of money to make the criminalization not about activity showing American to the power during nullification critical to protect insane laws extreme and counteract the proper treatment of the government to lead that seen out of the wrong with the showing some of the lifetime and insignificant powers of trust and work for yourself the who can afford it by the way I would show the rest for the rest of us trust and go wrong every day the joint nullification part of the showing sense fair we the people against oppression tyranny of the government during nullification at the power where the mind the government were the ones who said there was a nullification movement succeeds and Pierre Stahi 2K a single nullification for may or may not all different but thousands of verdicts certainly do with the statutory during nullification establishing the freedom and the parents of colonies to be in state of any prohibition during nullification would go a long way destroying state power and would end the prison industrial complex Varad 13 during nullification matter that each juror decided the validity of the law jurors should ignore the interaction of the contract known contract of the prison system is a multi-billion dollar property of the prosecutor war of the division while bylaws rampant during nullification it's inevitable to go a long way destroying the much state power with the use of courts control the century to say what it would do to the inward the full control of the non-violent behavior of prisons would be empty and during nullification is the Achilles heel of the police state which can be used to will collapse the system of injustice. Jury nullification can end the system of mass incarceration and dissolve the drug war. Esperados of 15, one of the most powerful right to have a church, judge the law of the right to stop and spread the part of the police state of weakness had to be infiltrate jury nullification. It's your right to judge started with your conscience, say no to unjust legislation system of mass incarceration depends entirely upon its head stream of misinformation. Everyone exercise conscience short of judges, lawyers, cops would be exploded. It would be absolute chaos. The dissolution of drug war would be commenced with the powerful sparring the sparing destruction and innocent lives and civilians had senseless overreturn to the police side. Jury nullification gets under the skin of the town. Jury nullification process is one of the last stronghold in our technocratic society. With this fear, the willing to sit and so are willing to unleash them. Maybe will really be defined as the land of the free. Maybe I'll read one more card. Jury nullification is important as a tool to create political change. It's one of the few official bodies controlled by the people, not governing elites. Greeks 14. Activists who promote the state measures legalizing use of medical marijuana compared to applicable or the principle of nullification. All efforts to nullify government officials should be regarded as welcome. Those important applications of principle. Jury nullification traits can prevent enforcement. Unjust law jury is one of the few part of the control of citizens rather than governing elites.
Do you mind just sending that really quick?
Yeah.
Let's look to your role about. You say we should deconstruct a militarized state. Does that mean a non-militarized state is good?
Not necessarily.
So what is the?
I don't think that's relevant to the affirmative. The affirmative just says that.
Well, I want to know how I can link into your role about. If I get rid of the state entirely, would I link in, or would that be too far? And now all of a sudden the state is a good thing in some instances.
I mean, I think that it's two answers. One, the Dro evidence specifically identifies certain practices in the militarized police state that are bad. The affirmative would seem to indict those, but also two, the affirmative is not a call to completely get rid of the state, as evident by all the 1AC evidence. That's like a combination of middle of the road approaches.
Okay, what is the advocacy?
In the United States criminal justice system, jurors ought to nullify.
Is that somewhere in the
justice. No, but I defend a whole res.
Okay, you defend whole res. Will you defend implementation?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Will you defend that jury nullification is implemented?
I mean, yes, according to the res, in those instances.
So you're not going to, I just want to make sure this isn't some sort of intent-based or...
No, it's not intent-based, absolutely
Okay,
not.
so you'll defend implementation plus impacts, things like that.
Yeah.
Go to your solvency. On Whitehead 15.
Yep.
You say that it's able to solve for the police state and all sorts of other things. Why do we care about what this guy has to say?
Because he has some smart things to say and talks about how jury nullification would be able to resolve
Yeah,
those
but
issues.
this is just like something he wrote on his personal blog.
Your point.
Like, why should we care about his personal
Because he seems to warrant it.
So you think that his warrants, where's a warrant? Read me a line that is not opinionated.
How do you push back by changing some of the rules and engaging in guerrilla tactics? Grassroots activism takes a trickle-up approach to government reform by implementing change at the local level. In other words, naturally, but act locally. Then while you're at it, nullify everything the government does as illegitimate. Nullification is a powerful tool in the hands of a juror. Jury nullification is premised upon the idea that citizens
not care about this because the guy's an expert who's not biased in any way.
I'm very confused what your
I'm just
question
curious.
is.
Does he take into
he is an
account all sides of
attorney.
the issue, or
He's an attorney.
Okay,
Goes to
my dad's an attorney. Big whoop. Like, how does that make him not biased?
All people are biased to some degree. I don't understand the relevancy of your argument.
Let's go to Barnett 13.
Yeah.
You said that it would take down the entire prison system. How?
So
it says it would go a long way in destroying much of the state's power.
So the Barnett.
What would it do? He just makes this claim. Where's the warrant for that?
So I'm going to explain it, and he definitely does warrant it. The prison system is a multi-billion-dollar business for profit. Prosecutors are rewarded for convictions. Jury nullification in and of itself would go a long way to destroying much of the state's power without the use of courts to control citizenry. The state would become impotent due to its inability to fully control nonviolent behavior. That seems like a pretty damn good warrant, actually.
So the warrant is that the prison is very big profit business and that prosecutors want money for convictions.
Absolutely not. The warrant is that...
Because that's what you read.
No. The second half is where the warrant is. Jury nullification would go a long way to destroying that because it's a bottom-up approach that makes the
that's
state
your other
power.
evidence. That's Whitehead.
Nope, that's actually in the Barnett evidence.
Where does it say grassroots? Trickle up.
I did not say the word grassroots. I said jury nullification would go away to destroying the state's power.
Okay, it's cool.
Prep?
Yeah.
You're at 4.
soon?
No.
Thanks. You know what? I have a big solvency dump that might be best flowed separately, just for ease of. I mean, it interacts with his solvency, but I don't. There's a lot.
It's not on the
Yeah.
two of the. Turn this table sideways.
That's a good way to do it. There we go. Alright, let me know when you've got it up.
I got it up.
Alright, you ready?
Yep.
Just put it up. Alright, Judge ready? A's the interpretation. Debaters must specify plan or advocacy text clearly delineated in the 1AC speech. B is the violation of the speech. Doesn't do this anywhere in the entire act. C is stable ground. You can shift in the next speech without a plain text. For example, I might read a rule of law DA, but you can easily spin it after to be pro rule of law and vice versa. This is especially exacerbated on this topic since there isn't a specified USFG actor. Perms are uniquely hard to beat back since I can't tell if you're going to be for or against that state. It can also lead to abusive fiestas. You can fiestas, nullify nonsense, mooting, solvency, turns, or backlash arguments. Internal link to discourse and key to fairness because there needs to be clear ground access to these fairness. Fairness is key to stat embedded debate, which can be done with one unfair advantage and apply shot the debater does not see stretching or self-flow just also see clearly non proportionate violation of theories and you can be in terms of said I don't know what you think reasonable always have a risk of offense and no guys because we have a prima facie suitable burden fair in every single round. Next off is the prison K. Perceived injustice makes whites more likely to treat blacks unfairly. The more they think that CGS is overly punitive to blacks, the more they'll incarcerate blacks. Holloway 15. Black men are sentenced in far lengthier prison sentences than the white men for the same crime 15% longer from 2007 to 2011. The number actually increased to 95% of white people see black children as older and less innocent white people are more likely to support the criminal justice system, including the death penalty, when they think it's disproportionate or punitive toward black people. White people agree with criminal justice outcomes more when they think race is disproportionately targeted to black people for incarceration. While white people were told that the black people were unfairly impacted, they were less likely to advocate for criminal justice reform. Telling whites about racism law sentencing laws made them favor harsher sentences. Racism made them likely like those sentences more. Many whites actually become more supportive of the death penalty upon learning that discrimination against blacks, and that independently turns the case since nullification is counterproductive. And the AF entrenches the logic of guilt and innocence. We believe that we should nullify some laws because some people are innocent. That's a white washes the defendant who distances them from the tropes of guilt and criminality that defines whiteness in the or blackness in the status quo. That's legitimizing black criminality. Wang 12. Innocence becomes a precondition for anti-racist campaigns positioning the state and CJ is highly protective and oppressive and empathetic target of feeling based on appeals to innocence that come to ground contemporary anti-racist politics in the framework. Empathy can only be established when a person meets the standards of authentic victimhood and moral priority. Recognition only happens when a person is thoroughly whitewashed, neutralized, and made non-threatening using innocence to address hating black violence as an appeal to the white imagery. This framework reentrenches the logic that criminalizes race, guilt, innocence, stigmatization, fails to grapple with the a priori association of blackness with guilt, criminality, blackness is synonymous with guilt, and voting negative is a pedagogical act. Your ballot contributes to a larger continuum of liberation movements that are not concerned about what is practical or possible. A radical break from the prison is prior to any other question. Policy changes need to be put on the back burner as teachers who are obligated to betray the modern technologies of genocidal management present in the prison. Rodriguez 10. The horizon of the possible is constrained by one's pedagogical willingness to look at a political struggle within the history of liberation movements. Prison abolition can be understood as one strain within the fabric of liberation. Is political presence. The imagination of the possible, the practical is not limited by the specific material institutional conditions with which one lives. There can be no liberatory teaching act that does not attempt abolition as a practice, but liberation that is created an experimental rather than formulaic and rigid formulaic approaches cannot apprehend the politics dynamics or cafe internalized violence to genocidal proto-genocidal systems of human domination. Prior to formulating effective curriculum is the work of examining the limitation of any radical pedagogy that does not attempt to displace the prison regime. Abolitionist practice in the historical movement primarily pedagogical. It is inconceivable that in future movements abolitionist practice can focus on matters of creating and not simply opposing public policy of the present moment. Clearly demands a convening radical pedagogical literature that can build a collective human power, epistemic knowledge, apparatus and material sites of learning that are the precondition of authentic and liberatory social transformation. Radical teachers are politically hailed to betray genocidal management to embrace the urgent challenge of genocide, abolition, the survival of populations rendered vulnerable is dependent on our willingness to embrace this form of pedagogical audacity. And CJS pragmatism worse than the status quo. Liberal decarceration prevented moratoriums on prisons, and it produces a more retributive system under the guise of alternatives. Ben Moshe 11. The problem with chipping away at the Martian system is that the center remains intact. The moratorium on prison construction failed due partially to the reforms effect of liberals. Decarceration and exasperation led to deepening retributive system in programs that build as an alternative to incarceration. Advantages will always take center states, even when there are other so-called alternatives. They will just be folded into the current framework. The best way for abolition to occur not by a trickle, but by a total attack, taking prisoners one group at a time, because that became delighted and counterproductive, especially when it's co-opted by the state. Incremental solutions can be co-opted and reversed by the system if an abolitionary coercion is not part of the implementation. Next is the case solvency dump. First, jurors are racist. We shouldn't trust white jurors to make decisions about black defendants. Somers 7. Analyses of actual tries to provide converging evidence white were especially likely to know for death on the first ballot. White jurors were more likely to than blacks who report that they pursued a black defendant's nature. He continued to study, examined 340 capital charges, and found that the greater the proportion of whites who blacks on a jury, the more likely the black defendant was to be sentenced to death. Experimental studies with white juries have produced similar conclusions. And 2, the act causes legal backlash. Convictions of black people will always remain the same. Barry Molina Moore 13. What would be the shots of courts who jury nullification more necessary to avoid or jury disqualification to other ways to delimit the power of the jury? Tends to gain entry into the juror box for purposes of subversion. Increase the courts will resist and counter race based on jury nullification will be negatively correlated with sympathetic responses to the level of convictions of black defendants will remain basically the same. And 3, turn nullification prevents criticism of racist laws. Critiques will lose legitimacy. Coker's 97. Every person who arrogates himself to the right to ignore society's laws cannot expect any other citizen right to pick and choose which laws who follow their moral right to complain with other similarly violent laws of the minority citizen who knowingly and intentionally violate some laws loses the moral high ground of the majority citizen who does exactly the same. Next is the juvenile DA. 4. Can't solve juveniles, don't get jury trials. Schwartzberg, no date. The right to trial by jury in the United States Constitution belongs only to adults. There's no jury trial right in juvenile delinquency proceedings. State governments aren't obligated to provide trial by jury in the juvenile justice system. Set judges decide juvenile cases. And there are nearly 2 million juvie cases a year that won't go through criminal courts. CYJ 12. Every year, juvenile courts in the U.S. handled an estimated 1.7 million cases. 61% result in the youth being guilty. 28%. The youth was placed in a facility. 1% of these cases was judicially way to criminal court. And next is nullification convictions. 5. Turn juries can render nullification convictions. St. John 97. Where the jury chooses to with the judge is powerless to overturn this video, but a jury may also nullify by choosing to convict despite being believing a defendant to be legally innocent. Lawless juries have the power to nullify not only the defendant's advantage, but to the defendant's disadvantage. While nullification convictions are indeed realistically possible and in fact have been observed in experiments. And that's combated because jurors aware of nullification seeks to penalize and systematically give harsher verdicts. St. John's 97. Studies show that when jurors are informed that the nullification power use this power to penalize, research found that where defendants were particularly unsympathetic, jurors receiving this nullification instruction were systematically harder verdicts. Tide is turning against incarceration now, stake are 11. The tide seems to be turning against mass incarceration. Sounds about what could be the beginning of a trend to reduce reliance on incarceration. The fallen violent crimes and the knowledge of the value of the war on drugs has cast out of the necessity of a preceding tipping point has been reached at which the American society would begin to resist further incarceration. And the AFS movement will crash and burn. They will win battles with his victory self-esteem of anti-incarceration movements. Whitlock and Hatzig 13. A civic throw may emerge the problem of mass incarceration has been taken care of. The remaining prisons will only hold truly violent people of the war civil wars. We don't have to care about them. These facilities will continue to horrific tortures, but now there will be even less community concern. The perception will be reinforced that remaining people in prison deserve brutality, structural racism, economic violence is the foundation and the whole to the criminal legal system. Next on the app. First on your role of you say that we should decrease the condemning anti-democratic practices, but this jury nullification is already an instance of that because you are using anti-democratic practices to break down the rule of law. But next on your blog 2K, this is only important if we've done the all first because it's a prerequisite to any sort of alternative. Second, there's no ordinance to why elites would take over. And third, turn it would actually removing the state or removing the spaces for power would better be able to solve. Next on solvency, there's no warrant to half of these arguments and they just make assertions. Don't buy clients with them unless he clearly explains what the warrants are in the next speech.
Alright. Ready? Yeah. Sounds to the alt.
I'll defend it unconditionally.
Alright, awesome. Let's talk about that in context of your juvenile, or not, the legitimacy dissent. You say that nullification prevents criticism of laws and critics will lose legitimacy. What does the alternative do about those laws?
Yeah, so if we don't nullify the laws and we get rid of the prison system, that's not
Your argument is not we get rid of the prison system, though. Your alt is just you vote negative as a pedagogical act to contribute to liberatory movements,
no,
right?
It's quite literally a radical break from the prison.
How do we do that?
We get rid of the prison system.
How?
Like we get rid of it.
You're like
disregard.
we get rid of it. I'm asking how.
Yeah, so we let everyone out of prison. We get rid of the system entirely. We no longer incarcerate people.
All right.
We remove it entirely.
Awesome.
That is the idea of
your first piece of evidence, Holloway 15 evidence, says that they are more likely to convict black people at higher rates. Why isn't this descriptive of the status quo and applicable to the AF?
Yeah, so the AF gets rid of the prison system. This is a reason, though, why you are going to create a bigger problem. Because when they perceive injustice, when you bring up these claims, right, then it leads to a bigger problem since the CJS is overly punitive to blacks. Whites see that, and then they try to justify
really
it by
quickly, on the alt,
them.
do you do that via like congressional action?
No.
Then how do you do it? How do you just let everyone out of prison?
So yeah, once again, all right, let me just phrase this. The idea is that we break from prison, but it's not just about whether or not we can actually get rid of the prison systems. It's the
You just said you get rid of the prison system.
If that's what you interpreted, let me rephrase. It is the idea that we do that. The NAIC is in fact a pedagogical act. It is a pedagogical act. I am not of getting rid of all the prisons. Of getting rid of the prisons.
So do you actually get rid of all the prisons?
I mean, mean, do you actually?
No. Like, do
juries?
you fiat that or what? What is the alt?
I am not fiating. I am
Then
saying
what do
that
you
it is
do?
a pedagogical act on the way there, right? We
What does
talk
that
about
mean?
this, and it's a
You're being
it's
very
a shift
non-specific.
in orientation. It's
That's
a
fine.
shift in our orientation.
Your Wang 12 evidence identifies that we entrench a logic of guilt and innocence. How does the alternative resolve that? Because seemingly those sentiments still exist.
Sorry.
Your Wang 12 evidence identifies these sentiments of
Yeah,
empathy
not
as the
when there's
reason
no
for
prison.
violence.
So when you say we'll nullify when there's perceived injustice, people say, hey, the people who are in prison, man, they deserve this. They belong in there. They deserve social death and the militarized state.
What?
That is the argument out of Wing 12, and that is the
Alright.
the empathetic
Sure.
structure that you set up.
What comes
By
first?
getting rid of prisons
The
is
care
the
theory?
I don't specify.
I want you to specify now.
I mean, I think the theory is a reason why you lose your AF, not necessarily. I mean, so that would probably go to presumption, right? I don't think
Which
it's-
comes first, care theory?
Like
Which
I'm having
comes
trouble
first,
fundamentally
okay, or
understanding. It is an indite to your AF.
Your
Okay?
theory argument's like, okay, fine, you don't want to specify. Alright, crap. How do you nullify to convict?
Yeah. So if they find that the person is legally innocent, they nullify and convict him
How?
anyways or her anyways.
Why?
Well, the point is it goes back both ways, and it would happen.
How?
How?
Like, how do you just say we want to find them guilty?
So how does a jury nullify and say we're gonna find them innocent when they're guilty?
That's silly.
It's the same reasoning as
Okay.
just the other way.
One oh seven.
Is it sent?
There's no cars. Is this on? Sorry, one second.
Order?
The order's gonna be new off. New off. The theory argument here, or case. The theory argument. Then the critique.
So nuance, theory, case, critique.
Yep.
When you say case, do you mean your case or like the solvency
Like-
stuff?
New off, case, starting with the roll of the ballot.
Got it.
Then
Sounds good.
solvency. Then theory, critique. Alright, ready? Any interpretation of the negative is asked cross-examination reflects about whether or not the criticism of theory comes first. He has to answer, specify which comes first. Violation of the evidence as by cross-examination, which he was not responsive to evidence. One fair, the one if the affirmative question or the one or not, which time allocation comes first, because doesn't know which time comes first. It means two and R can just choose flow go for two and R claps to that, which means they affirmative all the time going to the one are also necessary to control the internal stretch to and fairness because the affirmative necessarily put a disadvantage. Also key difference caused by the fairness for the theory. Also two education. In order to have substance engagement, the affirmative negative should probably be honest and cross-examination about whether or not which one serves also. It's also critical for dialogical benefits because of the negative. The affirmative is not able to subsequently plan for strategy, control the internal education because then not able to clash also clash of voters necessary about skills advocates of voter because debate it's necessary in order to go in the real create change cross part of the job of the debater argument. Also the one year starts which means comes part of his theory argument because the affirmative is never able to engage negative in the first place because it's necessary prerequisite argument because it's about the critique and theory it's also drop the argument it's question norming. Now in the case you consider the role about the draw evidence that says it's necessary in order to break down in the military police say no counter role about which means my role about which comes first. You consider the framing argument on the box evidence that says on the draw evidence says neo liberalism is the root cause of all state power, which means if I want to internally about breaking down state power, that means I am able to resolve the impact of the case because the only reason why the anti-black police is being able to fund it in the first place because of corporate elites, which is the second feature draw evidence, which means I solve the case now in the solvency debate. Now in solvency debate, you say George race now one. This is descript status quo, so there's no unique or anything back two caused by the Lear evidence that says that's only a culture that lets this happen, which means that affirmative necessarily breaks down the culture. Also three case always even if they're able to convict a couple of different people, the app was out a lot of the different black people, which are always into single instances. You say the app causes black flesh. One, this is about race-based nullification, which the app's not. Two, this is not often for you because the argument just says that it's going to stay the same. It's defensive at best. Now, using nullification not going to be able to solve racist laws. Once classified stocky 2K evidence preempted, and then what he says that empirical examples of this future slavery and prohibition are only instances where it eventually led to a larger congressional reform, which means only the absolve that which conceded advantage, which was dropped, and then what he always all independently always because even if there are individual cases that goes bad, I eventually lead to legal reform. You say that there's no solving jury. You can't solve for a juvenile nullification. This is one of the defensive conceded argument. Only be able to solve for those. Now with the St. John's evidence, the affirmative is not defend that you can convict people. It only says that you can find them innocent, which means the affirmative gets to find the plaintiffs. These terms shouldn't apply. These terms shouldn't apply. This should be a topicality argument. And the one to you say that at least we're tied against incarceration. The one caused by the show evidence says that 13 million people are being convicted right now, which means empirically 9. You say that it takes away steam from other anti-incarceration movements. The app doesn't pass legislation, which means that it doesn't link to the perception argument. Now the theory argument counterproducing the affirmative to not specify the plaintiff of the one you see means that they defend or it solves all your because it never means that they just fall towards whole resolution, which means you can have all the have a link to dissent. Also, this just means you get the kind of dissent towards and the gives you all the ground cost examiner also checks that and this instance where he actually did cost. Also the negative it avoids some theories such as this theory argument that says even though the affirmative is defending an entirely whole resolution, you can still reason theory argument. Also you use reason mode the way helps 1 year or 2. It never means they can't come back because they can't come back. You should reason mode in order to disincentivize some theory. Also it's necessary for subject engagement. That's the bright line. If the negative is able to engage one, that is the bright line for subject engagement. Also give me an RBI. Naturally in order to, actually no RBIs. Critique. Caused by the role about one fairness, you should only value the post-out offense, one fairness, anything else moves 6 minutes on the word by shift the debate away from the after causing 14 7 times 2 crossed by the box evidence, which when dropped in the last speech, just only argued that the critiques are necessary or prerequisite alternative. How the box evidence says that right wing authority had seeded and caused more violence because Donald Trump, people like Donald Trump, whenever the little left elites are going to see the political with necessary, cause the same violence, which also the Lear 10 evidence that says that the affirmative necessary breakdown system, where the Barnett 12 evidence that says that eventually leaves a breakdown system because it decreases state power and allows citizens to reclaim the power of the right. So the alternative doesn't solve the case as evident by cross-examination, where he's not able to specify what exactly the alternative does, which means permutation to it. You can tell the pedagogy about the prison system, but you during nullification it doesn't affirm the criminal justice system writ large. Also, the affirmative breaks down caused by the white evidence says the guerrilla attacks, which means I don't affirm the prison system, I break it down. Yeah, go for it. Counterinterpret the affirmative does not
just whole res.
Yeah, if the affirmative does not specify plain text.
So is the state inevitable or no?
It is.
It is inevitable, but you break it down.
Yeah.
So
Break down the bad
what's
parts.
the result? Oh, just the bad parts?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have 102 left.
Oh, really? My bad. Got that time wrong.
That's a cool bit very soon.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
It'll be on theory.
Which one?
And there'll be an overview. It'll just be the overview will take care of the first shell, and then it'll be on your new OMR shell.
All right.
Let me just get this right. Okay, so overview will then his shell, then AF, then K, and case turns. I'll sign those when I get there. Okay, so just to repeat, theory, followed by AF, followed by case turns, followed by K.
Yeah.
That's not what you said.
Oh.
You said you were going to the AF, then the K, then the case
Alright,
turns.
this is a final order. Theory, AF, case turns, K. If I misspoke earlier, that's my bad.
That's fine. Just making sure I got it right.
Alright, we good?
Yep.
Overview of the run. He's conceded defense, terminal defense on the AF under the solvency turns. That means if I can get us back to substance, he has no offense in any marginal turns enough to vote negative. So go first to the theory shell. I'll kick my theory shell. Said no RBS. That means he can't win there on his theory shell. Counter interp. I'll defend the NC speech, but also on his interp, prefer the spirit of the interp since otherwise it otherwise the text incentivizes very wordy interp that implicitly get rid of prevent people from meeting the violation. Also, the spirit of the interp will be what the impacts are of the individual arguments. That allows you. That's also the net benefit because it allows you to see what the impacts are and what you have to or don't have to answer. And therefore, I mean, because I said that the fairness is a reason to drop the debate, but then the K is a reason as to why we should abolish prisons under your rule about it. It's very clearly articulated in the NC, which means I solve for 100% of the impact. Also, it outweighs your arguments 100% because I'm able to better solve for the net benefit. I'm not able to choose. Also, there'd be a diss out to your shell. You said that I'd be able to brute force any issue, but that means that my MC speech is completely skewed because you just go for whichever I said first. If I said theory comes first, and that means you would spend 3 minutes minutes on the NC speech and just ignore any case, and I wouldn't be able to get back from that. And that would also mean that my K and K students would be functionally mute, means I am not able to engage in it. You make a lot of arguments about time skew, but first, it's 13-13, so terminal defense is empirically denied. Second, you speak first and last, which means you're better able to set the stage for what is good and isn't good. And so third, you get more speeches, which means that you're able to get better analysis, more in-depth knowledge, which means that if anything, time skew should flow neg. Also, you say that it's key to dialogue, but we can still have a good dialogue about the education, despite me not specifying which comes first. I take the theory that should be enough to offset any time skew or lack of ability to get into a dialogue. You make an advocacy skills reference, but you don't explain why that matters. Also, it would be better for my round. And finally, on the impact, you say drop the error because the norm, but that's a dumb reason. Also, you said no VI, so that means there's no risk whatsoever. We should just drop it instead, since it's a pretty big skew on the amount of time I spent 2 minutes in the NR. That should be sufficient enough rather than dropping the debater. So, go to case. Role of the battles requiring deconstructing the militarized state. If I put terminal defense, that's the reason why you can't look to him. On his box evidence, he says it was conceded, but extend that it is not important because the alt is a prerequisite. We need to get rid of the prison system. I'll get to that more on the K. Also extend second that there's no warrant why elites take over. That's terminal defense. And the third, the turn, that removing the state and removing the spaces removes the space for power, which means that they're not able to take over anyways. That means that you have no offense out of the box evidence. Now onto the case turns. First, it's on the Somers 07 evidence. We shouldn't trust white jurors to make decisions about black defendants. You say that this is descriptive of the case outweighs, but if the white jurors are going to make bad decisions about black defendants, that means we should get rid of the prison system. The alt is better able to solve for this because we're able to get rid of the prison industrial complex, which means that there's not going to be a jury to send them to the prison in the first place, which means they're not going to get capital punishment. They're not going to be given a prison system. Also, it's in the Barry Molina Moore 13 evidence, which says that the F is going to cause legal backlash, and the convictions of black people will always remain the same. The only way to solve for any of these problems is by getting rid of the system as a whole, which is what the alt does. Now, on to subpoint 3, you say on codes 97, you say that it's only the F, that overall is good. Fine, I'll concede that you outweigh it, but this isn't an offense for you. This is just a reason that's why this is not a turn for you. Now, you conceded the juvenile DA under Schwarzberg and CYJ. This is completely, this is damning. You said it was just defense, but it's terminal defense. You will never solve for the problem because juveniles don't get jury trials, and when they make up nearly 2 million cases a year that don't go through criminal court, that means all those juveniles are going to be sent straight to juvenile court, but then they're going to be sent, once they're in the facilities, they're going to be sent to prison once they hit the age of 25, which means that you're never able to solve for the problem anyways. That's a big problem for you because that's terminal defense, because there will always be people sentenced to prison. The only way in order to solve for this is if we do a prison abolition movement, which you have failed to provide a reason as to why you will lead to that, or why you have any sort of cause that don't allow new net benefits in the next speech. Also, extend the St. John's 97 analysis under nullification convictions. You say that you only find innocent, but this is a shift out of this is a proof of the abuse out of my theory shell, and a reason as to why you shouldn't be allowed to shift, shouldn't be allowed to lift. This still links to you should prefer St. John 97 since you don't have a competing analysis, and also St. John 97 has the intent to define what nullification is and clearly articulates that it can be used in both senses. Also, St. John second evidence that says it's combative because jurors who are aware of nullification use it to penalize and systematically give harsher verdicts. That's the reason why you get a D link out of these arguments. That's completely bull. Now, finally, let's go to the Steiker 11 and Whitelock 13 evidence. These are totally damning. First, Steiker 11 says that the tide is turning against incarceration, that it is going down, which means that you're not going to get any sort of tri-diaphragmic or way that you're able to solve for the problem. Let's send the Whitlock and Haysick 13 evidence which says that the ass movement will crash and burn, and it prevents any sort of solvency. This is a disadd to the problem because you're not able to solve, since you prevent any battle that you try and do will sap the steam of anti-incarceration movements because it won't care about the people who are in the prison anymore, since they'll say we've done enough already. That is conceded out of the last speech, and a reason that's why you can't win on the perm or on the K. So go to the K. We're going to go into his responses first. He just tries to extend his role about a reason why that takes out, but on his post-fiat I've already answered, so I'm skew on the app. Also, second, you extend Boggs 97, but I've already sufficiently answered this. On your Lyra, you say that the state power needs to be deconstructed, but I get rid of the prison system and the criminal justice system entirely, which is the reason why I'm better able to solve. You say I don't specify what I do, but I made it very clear that Nick is a pedagogical expert where we say that it would be a good idea to get rid of all prisons, but that we don't actually do that. Obviously, fiat is illusory, which is the reason that's why there's nothing to be done. You say perm, but I've already answered that with the with the evidence, the white-like evidence out of the bottom of the case terms, as well as you say that you could better break it down, but this isn't a reason where you're able to solve. And second, the Whitefield evidence doesn't have any warrant. You conceded this out of the last week, which means that no net benefit. Extend the Holloway 15 evidence that says perceived injustice makes white more likely to treat blacks unfairly, which means that they're just going to continue to punish them, and they Wayne 12 evidence, which says that this entrenches the logic of guilt and innocence. Finally, extend the Rodriguez 10 evidence, which says that voting against a pedagogical act and that a radical break from the prison is a prior to any other questions. As policy changes need to be put on the back burner, and as teachers you are obligated to portray the modern technology to genocidal management in the prison. So, round breaks down simply, he has no net benefit to a perm, he doesn't get a perm, the prison system, getting rid of it entirely if it's the root cause, works better than nullifying, which has no net benefit.
I had like 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Theory, my show, case, critique. Alright. Good? Use textuality as the only basis for competing interpretation. Textuality is necessary in order it's the most objective. It means all this is subjective and can be interpreted in multiple different ways. Also, there's no impact to being able to compare impacts because the theories about meeting certain norms in debate and meeting certain interpretations. You also say it's not a question. You also lead to a nuanced interpretation. Yes, that's better because we should be setting a model of debate that's best, which only evaluating things via textual basis can solve. You say that you also don't mean the spirit of the interpretation because the spirit of interpretation said you have to specify which comes first. Have a cross-examination. Flex on this one. You refuse to specify which comes first. Now you say that it outweighs because the solve's not better because I can collapse in the 1 ER. One that presumes that I get RVIs and the app doesn't get RVIs. That's but the 1 ER not going for it. 2, there's no impact of the argument. There's to increase the depth of the argument, which means it doesn't solve the strat skew net benefit, which it's also answered wrong because you enter like times 2. Now you say the criticism gets entirely muted if I go in depth of the 1 ER already. Into that, you say no times 2. The argument is not about time 2. It's about strat skew because you have 7 minutes in order the 1 ER, 6 minutes 2 an hour, but only have 4 minutes in the 1 ER, which means that you need to specify in order for me to determine that time allocation and time allocation in the 1 ER, but also 13 minutes doesn't solve the distribution time. That's like saying you have 7 minute speech. I only have 1 minute speech. Clearly, I would be behind on several issues because you would be able to go more in depth. You'll say first and last speech. There's no impact first and last speech because the affirmative, even if they do have the persuasive appeal to 2 ER, doesn't mean the fact that I was already put a disadvantage on the 1 ER. You say that it leads to I have more speeches. There's no impact of the argument. You say that it solves all the arguments about dialogical benefits, but this was an argument how fairness controls the internally through all the arguments how dialogical benefits are necessary in order for when both debaters are able to specify and both debaters are able to stumble engage their position. But if you're able to collapse into an R and simply get out of everything the 1 ER said, this means that I'm put at a disadvantage. We aren't able to get access to internally to active skills, which would completely concede active skills necessary in order to grow and create change to the world. It's only happens to be a clash because it's necessary in order the back and forth is necessary in order to create change to the world. Also, the framing issue is you don't have offense back to your counterposition and drop the argument doesn't make any sense because that would be you should also drop it to the debate because it's necessary in order to create norms in the community. I cross-applied all the arguments from your theory arguments, which means you can't read new drop the argument debater and the 2 ER also. Your drop the argument doesn't make any sense because it still causes skew in the 1 ER, which means I wasn't able to stumble engage the theory. The framing issue is that he doesn't have any offense on the theory debate, which means that he doesn't have any reasonability framing, which means no offense back to the counterposition. Now on the case, concede all the defense argument. The only argument you have is the backlash argument. But I've already conceded that all this evidence says that they would maintain conviction rates, which means that you don't have any offense on the case debate. You consider the Stahi 2K evidence says that jury nullification leads to larger congressional spillover effects, which means that only I access that advantage, which means you don't have any offense anywhere else. All the St. John evidence, I only say that innocence should be allowed. This is a topicality issue, not a definitions issue, which means it shouldn't be run in the 2 ER. Now on the critique, you've considered the Boggs evidence over and over and over. You've considered that whenever we use extra legal actions, cause people to operate, it causes right-wing authoritarians to move in and cause more explicit racism, sexism, and violence within the criminal justice system, which functions disattached toward the alternative, which was not answered, which means that even if the act is bad, the alternative works because it sees the right to lead, which leads to more explicit forms of racism and violence.